faithfully sharing insights and exploring great books from around the world.
Hello, this is Sally's Book Talk.
Today, we're diving into the book, The Small Mandate of Heaven, with the subtitle Living Shrines. The author is Sarah Schneewind, a history professor at UC San Diego and former president of the American Ming Studies Association. So, what exactly is a living shrine? As we know, ancestral halls are public places for worshiping ancestors or sages, usually honoring those who've passed. But living shrines are different. By definition, living shrines are built for the living, to commemorate living individuals. Here, living mainly refers to officials who served a term and brought benefits to the local community. When they left office, the people would pool funds to build living shrines to honor their governance. To this day, some ancient living shrines still exist, like the Yue Fei Temple in Taizhou, Jiangsu, built by locals when the Southern Song General Yue Fei was stationed there. And so, do you know of any other surviving living shrines? What's your take on them? Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments section. This unique form of commemoration, living shrines, originated in the Tang Dynasty and peaked during the Ming Dynasty. For example, Hai Rui, an incorruptible Ming Dynasty official, served as county magistrate in Chunan, Zhejiang, for years. Before he left, the people planned to build Hai Gong Shrine to show their affection. Naturally, there's no controversy over building a living shrine for an upright official like Hai Rui. However, over time, the construction of living shrines became more and more widespread. During the Tianji era of the Ming Dynasty, the eunuch Wei Zhongxian held immense sway over the court. Many places spent huge sums building living shrines for him to flaunt the power of the 9,000 years. By then, living shrines had devolved into tools for flattering those in power, and even for partisan feuds. So why did living shrines flourish during the Ming Dynasty? Who is behind this widespread practice, and what social psychology does it reveal? Now, and why did it drift from its original purpose, step by step, turning into a political tool that people grew to despise? The book, The Small Mandate of Heaven, Living Shrines and Ming Politics, offers a detailed and brilliant analysis of this. Next, I'll discuss the book by focusing on these three questions. First, let's tackle the initial question. Why did living shrines thrive in the Ming Dynasty? Who drove this? The earliest historical records of living shrines come from the Tang Dynasty. Dai Rinji, a renowned Tang Dynasty minister, served as prefect of Weizhou, which is now Daming in Hebei. He was an upright official who promoted production and was deeply cherished by the people. After he was transferred, the people of Weizhou erected a monument and built a living shrine to express their gratitude. After enduring centuries, the living shrine has long crumbled, but stone inscriptions still testify to Di Renji's fine reputation. In the Song Dynasty, building living shrines for local officials with achievements was already widely accepted, and Sima Guang argued that while Confucian texts don't mention building shrines for the living, this practice reflects people's recognition and admiration for good officials, so it shouldn't be abolished for Song Dynasty renowned ministers. Sima Guang, for instance, when Ouyang Shu, Wang Anshi, and Su Shi served as local officials, people built living shrines out of gratitude for their kindness. Of course, the imperial court had strict rules. Building living shrines required reporting to the central government and getting approval. Entering the Ming Dynasty, these regulations became more systematic and detailed, and Zhu Yuanzhang, the Hongwu emperor, came from humble origins, experienced the hardships of common people, and deeply hated corrupt officials. After establishing the Ming Dynasty, he cracked down hard on corruption and bureaucracy while promoting honest officials to set an example, encouraging people to build living shrines as a key initiative. In the 6th year of Hongwu, 1373 AD, Zhu Yuanzhang decreed the establishment of Xianshanxi and Xianshanxi in each county to honor scholars and officials with outstanding contributions. This is seen as the the first time the court institutionally encouraged people to build living shrines for local officials. The Great Ming Code, personally formulated by Zhu Yuanzhang, specified that building a living shrine required imperial approval and three conditions. First, only for officials who had left office. Second, it must be proposed by the people. Third, there must be verifiable and tangible achievements. If any official dared to falsify, they'd face 80 to 100 strokes of the cane, depending on severity. This system was adjusted and revised by successive Ming emperors, forming a standard procedure. Generally, before a local official left office, local gentry submitted a petition to the court to build a living shrine for them. The Ministry of Rights in the censorate investigated and verified before approving construction. As for funding, it was mainly covered by local gentry. During the Wanli era, Hangzhou gentry raised funds to build a living shrine for the departing prefect Li Wenku, collecting 485 taels of silver. Of this, gentry and commoners donated 446 taels, accounting for 92%, with the remaining 8%. After completion, daily operation and maintenance costs were also borne by the gentry. Living shrines varied in size. Small ones might be a room in a temple or Taoist shrine with an official statue, an altar table, and offerings. Large ones resembled independent compounds with surrounding walls, multiple rooms including a main hall and side halls. The main hall's door displays a plaque reading, "Living Shrine of Lord Sunset," honoring the official. If the surname is Zhang, it's Lord Zhang's living shrine. If Wang, Lord Wang's living shrine, and so on. Inside, there's an official statue with an altar table before it holding memorial tablets and offerings. Side halls might house stone stelas praising the official's merits or honor lower-ranking officials. Twice yearly in spring and autumn, gentry led by current officials held ceremonies praying for enshrined officials and local prosperity. Prior gentry, villagers or travelers could visit any time to pay respects. Jesuit missionaries. Matteo Ricci lived in Zhaoqing, Guangdong for years, documenting local worship customs at living shrines. People entered, knelt before statues to make wishes, then offered incense and tributes. Clearly, locals equated shrine worship with Buddhist practices, believing both brought protection and wish fulfillment. This mindset wasn't unique to Zhaoqing, but widespread, as shrine numbers prove. The author estimates 2,000 to 10,000 living shrines existed in Min China, with 1,500 prefectures and counties nationwide. Each had at least one shrine. Local records show 3 in Laizhou, Shandong, 6 in Yuncheng, 15 in Gaoping, Shanxi, so dense that in Ming times,
Someone quipped, "Which local official today lacks a living shrine?"
missionaries like Ricci recorded shrines everywhere, with thriving incense. This peace and prosperity surpassed Tang and Song eras, reflecting universal aspirations. Yet Ming shrine-building mania defies logic. It reveals deeper social psychology. What was it? That's our focus. Second question. As mentioned, encouraging living shrines was Zhu Yuanzhang's policy, continued by later emperors. Rulers saw this as modeling good governance for officials to emulate. It purified bureaucracy, boosted imperial image, while letting commoners voice demands through shrine building. What demands? Essentially, these were things the gentry hoped officials would do, falling into 5 categories. First, maintaining social order and ensuring local safety. During the Zhengde era of Ming, banditry surged in southern Jiangxi with rampant looting. Wang Yangming, then the demoted censor-in-chief, was tasked with suppressing the bandits. He planned meticulously, combining firmness with compassion, and quelled the unrest within 2 years. The Jiangxi gentry, deeply grateful, built a living shrine for Wang Yongming. During the Jiajing era, Japanese pirates ravaged the southeast coast. Wei Zhongxian, Qi Jiguam, and others led military campaigns that protected lives and property. And so, in return, gentry in the southeast erected stone monuments and built living shrines for them. Second category, properly handling natural disasters. The Ming Dynasty experienced the Little Ice Age, with frequent extreme weather, harsh cold, droughts, floods, locust plagues, and earthquakes, causing massive damage to livelihoods. Thus, local officials' disaster response capabilities were crucial. Ding Gri, magistrate of Jingning in Yunnan, was said to bring rain whenever he prayed during droughts. When locusts plagued Quanzhou, Shandong, magistrate Zhang Jidao prayed sincerely to end the disaster. Magistrates Shengchong in Luojiang, Sichuan, and Gaoguang in Lishan, Gansu allocated grain to relieve famine during crises. Locals built living shrines for them. Some officials routinely prioritized road building, bridge construction, and water conservation projects. When disasters struck, these measures effectively mitigated damage, earning them living shrines too.
Third category, promoting education, civilizing the people, spreading knowledge and elevating moral standards. Core Confucian expectations for local officials.
Zhou Jiwei, prefect of Taizhou, built schools and discussed classics daily with scholars, earning high praise. As magistrate of Shaoshan, Zhejiang, Li Gong not only established schools, but also stopped the local practice of drowning infant girls. Deeming his virtue noble, the gentry petitioned the court to build his living shrine. Fourth category, upholding justice. In ancient times lacking legal consciousness, an official who occasionally enforced justice impartially was hailed as a blue sky lord. Xia Ji, magistrate of Xingan in Jiangxi, refused bribes from wealthy merchants and insisted on punishing a rich man who murdered innocents. Later, the rich man pulled strings to have Shaoji transferred. Even though unsuccessful, Xingan's people remembered Xingan's integrity and built him a living shrine.
Now, the fifth category, most valued by the gentry, securing tax reductions for the locality.
Among Chinese dynasties, Ming's tax burden was exceptionally heavy. Commoners supported not just the emperor and bureaucracy, but also hundreds of thousands of pampered imperial relatives. In the late Ming Dynasty, the court squeezed people dry to fund military campaigns against peasant uprisings and Qing invasions. In such situations, officials who resisted pressure and didn't add to local burdens naturally deserved a living shrine. During the Wanli era, Huayan prefect Lu Dawin refused the court's unfair tax hikes, and the gentry built him a living shrine. As a porcelain hub, Jiangxi had to tribute fine ceramics to the court, burdening the people heavily. Feng Waiyi, the left administration commissioner of Jiangxi, petitioned the Jiajing emperor to reduce tribute quotas and was approved. The people built a living shrine in gratitude.
In the late Ming Dynasty, famine hit the Huai River regions, but the court ignored people's lives and kept extorting taxes.
Shi Kefa, governor of Lianwei, risked his position by halting tax collection and allocating grain to save famine victims. Later, when Shi Kefa left office, the people lined the streets weeping and raised funds to build the Shigong Shrine. As mentioned, the gentry hoped local officials would do 5 things. Achieving just one could earn them a living shrine honor.
If they excelled in all 5, they'd be a renowned minister of the era.
For example, Hai Rui served through the Jiajing, Longqing, and Wanli reigns. He reformed governance, eliminated bad practices, and resisted impositions, gaining great fame. Another official named Li Zhongxian served as county magistrate in Hunan, Shandong, and Shanxi, later rising to minister of personnel. He was resolute, unafraid of the powerful, and firmly opposed heavy taxes. During Wei Zhongxian's most arrogant period, he stood out and denounced him. And he also promoted education and aided disaster victims. Local gentry, grateful for his kindness, built him a living shrine to honor his virtues. But the gentry's intentions went beyond this. In fact, living shrines reminded successors to emulate past worthies and prioritize local interests. If they failed, the gentry and people would show disapproval. For example, Zhang Hao served in Jiangxi for over 20 years, rising from magistrate of Guanchang to prefect of Jiancheng. He had good governance and a fine reputation, earning a living shrine upon leaving office. Interestingly, locals not only worshipped regularly, but also prayed during floods, droughts, or plagues. Those treated unfairly would come tearfully recounting grievances at Zhang Hao's shrine. This clearly wasn't just remembering Zhang Hao, but expressing dissatisfaction with his successors. That's still relatively mild. In a living shrine in Raoyang, Hebei, there's a stone tablet. The inscription says that Royang rarely has wise officials. When one finally appears, the people are extremely grateful. A living shrine in Nanan, Fujian. The inscription reads, "The county magistrate, loving and not accepting bribes, not extorting, enduring hardships without complaint. Truly a paragon in the official gum, a true model of integrity." The implication is that other officials are corrupt. In some places, people even claim that former officials have manifested to return and govern apparitions of the living, which, in the superstitious ancient times, were all considered absurd. However, the absurdity of these beliefs reflects the harshness of reality. In the mid to late Ming Dynasty, the court demanded endlessly. Governance was extremely corrupt. People's lives grew harder, yet they had no avenue to appeal, so they could only attempt to impose some restraint on local officials through this means. Did it work? The author believes it did. And this leads to the Confucian concept of the mandate of heaven. According to Confucian doctrine, the emperor's ability to rule the world comes from the so-called mandate of heaven, meaning heaven grants him the power to govern. This grant is not a one-time thing. If the emperor is tyrannical, heaven will issue warnings. If warnings are ignored, punishments follow until the mandate is withdrawn. So how to determine if an emperor is incompetent? 2 criteria: celestial phenomena and public sentiment. If there are no unusual signs in the sky, the climate is normal, and the people live peacefully, then the ruler is a good emperor. Conversely, if there are unusual celestial signs and the people are discontent, it indicates governance problems. The emperor must pay attention and adjust policies, or else a dynasty change might occur. Thus, the mandate of heaven is a double-edged sword. It is the source of imperial legitimacy, yet it also constrains the emperor, keeping his behavior from going too far. This logic also applies to local officials, with the difference that the emperor bears the mandate for the entire world. Note, quote, "Local officials bear the mandate for their governed regions, which the author calls the small mandate. For a county magistrate, whether his area enjoys favorable weather and the people have no complaints, constitutes his small mandate." Building a living shrine represents gentry recognition of his governance and means he has gained the local small mandate, being a good official. This is attractive to Confucian officials, who will restrain their behavior, act diligently and lovingly toward the people, seek a good reputation, and accordingly, the people's lives improve a bit. Of course, ultimately, this depends on the official's moral self-discipline. If they end up with a greedy or weak official who can't withstand pressure from superiors, the people have no recourse. Oh, complaining at former officials' living shrines didn't really help. What's even more surprising is that under the ruler's meddling, the original purpose of building shrines got twisted and turned into a tool for factionalism. Next up, let's tackle the third question: how building living shrines strayed from its meaning and step by step became a despised political tool. I'll put the conclusion out front. This directly ties to the worsening factional fights in the late Ming Dynasty. From 1620 to 1627, Emperor Tianji was on the throne. This 16-year-old kid loved goofing off, especially good at woodworking, spent all day in the harem with axes, planes, and saws, leaving big state affairs to his trusted eunuch, Wei Zhongxian. Court officials jumped on the bandwagon and sucked up, forming the eunuch faction led by Wei Zhongxian, which made a total mess of the government. This ticked off some officials big time. The first to speak up mostly came from the Donglin Academy in Wuxi, Jiangnan. It was their spot for hashing out ideas and dissing politics. 763.
Over time, any official who bashed the eunuch faction got lumped together as the Donglin Party.
In this showdown, the eunuch faction, backed by the emperor with imperial powers, support, and leniency, always had the upper hand. Key Donglin figures like Yang Lian, Zhuo Guangdu, and Wei Dazheng were snatched up by the eunuch faction under the emperor's name, tortured brutally, and died. The only thing the Donglin Party could lean on was so-called public opinion. Donglin folks pointed out that the eunuch faction wrecked the country and people, making life miserable. The Donglin Party fought them to stand up for the people and justice. But how could they prove they spoke for the masses? Living shrines were a huge indicator because when gentry built them for officials, it showed approval, meaning that official naturally spoke for the people. In this regard, the Donglin Party had an edge. Most Donglin members started as grassroots officials, served long stints locally, so they had more chances to get shrines built. Ouyang Dongfeng, an early Donglin leader, was prefect of Changzhou. When disasters hit, higher-ups didn't help much. He skipped levels and appealed straight to the court, saving lots of folks. Changzhou people built a living shrine to thank Ouyang Dongfeng. Another Donglin member, Louis Qi, worked as a judicial official in Yanzhou, Shandong, and he enforced laws fairly. He left office. Afterward, the gentry built a shrine for him. Similar cases are too many to count. The Donglin Party loved tooting their own horn and won over the masses. End of poem. Oh, this added some extra confidence for them to openly resist the eunuch faction. We see that facing the persecution of the eunuch faction, Donglin Party members often showed a spirit of disregarding life and death, all tied to this confidence. From this angle, it was the Donglin Party that used building living shrines as a political tool, but things started going backwards. Oh, it hit the eunuch faction. Since the rivals could play the shrine card, why not us?
Then I can claim to represent public opinion too, huh? In the 6th year of Tianqi, 1666, the faction fight between the eunuch group and Donglin Party got white hot, life or death, and that year, the eunuchs massively built living shrines for Wei Zhongxian, and
the first to jump out was Pan Ruzhen, governor of Zhejiang. He submitted a memorial lavishly praising Wei Zhongxian, saying he was devoted to the nation, diligent and caring, with a great rep in Zhejiang, and everyone begged to build him a shrine. As for shrines, they were meant for local officials, but Pan Ruzhen just pretended not to know. To such a rule-breaking proposal, the court's reply was shockingly approval. Emperor Tianqi even personally inscribed the plaque for Wei Zhongxian's shrine. With the emperor's stance clear, places everywhere raced to copy, and a wave of building Wei Zhongxian shrines swept in. In just months, over 50 Wei Zhongxian shrines popped up north to south. Even Zhu Yuanzhang's tomb in Nanjing and his ancestral graves in Fengjing weren't spared. Wei Zhongxian shrines were way bigger and fancier than regular ones. Take Kaifeng, Henan. Local officials tore down hundreds of homes and cut trees to please Wei Zhongxian. The finished shrine had 10 huge pillars and a roof covered in shiny glazed tiles. Inside, Wei Zhongxian's statue was gilded and lavish. Outside stood a tall stone stele with inscriptions full of over-the-top praise. At the opening ceremony, Henan officials did 5 bows and 3 kowtows to Wei Zhongxian's statue, a ritual only for emperors. Oh, every onlooker felt totally creeped out. Building one such shrine cost hundreds of thousands of silver taels, hundreds of times more than a normal shrine. With 50 nationwide, it totaled over 2 million taels. By then, the Ming Dynasty was swamped with crises. Money was desperately needed. Military costs alone topped 10 million taels yearly, yet officials splurged on shrines for a eunuch, showing their utter folly. Shh, shh, shh. Oh, the Donglin Party couldn't stay idle. They clearly saw the eunuch faction's massive shrine building was a blatant power grab if successful. They'd lose their only leverage. Under Donglin instigation, criticism of Wei Zhongxian's shrines surged. Oh, Wei Zhongxian's critics had solid grounds. Ming law reserved shrines only for local officials with proven achievements, initiated by gentry. Criteria Wei Zhongxian blatantly failed. To be fair, Donglin shrines weren't purely people-driven either. Officials privately currying gentry favor was common. But this stayed covert, never as brazen as Wei Zhongxian's open law flouting.
The Donglin Party seized this and attacked fiercely.
Among them, Han Kuang, a Donglin leader and former chief grand secretary, was the most vehement. He repeatedly petitioned the court, listing the eunuch faction's crimes and demanding all Wei Zhongxian shrines be torn down. Though morally bankrupt, the eunuch faction had the emperor's backing, so they retaliated unflinchingly, demoting Donglin members, ruining families. Han Kuang was hounded so severely he had to shelter in his ancestors' cemetery. Facing imperial-backed eunuchs, the Donglin Party was powerless. The weapon of shrine building had fallen into their enemies' hands. The Donglin Party's luck? Emperor Tianji died young. In 1627, the 22-year-old Tianji emperor passed. Chengzhen succeeded him, swiftly toppled Wei Zhongxian, and reinstated the Donglin Party to reform governance. Wei Zhongxian's shrines were the first demolished, his allies purged, but things soon swung to the opposite extreme. The Donglin Party saw this as a chance to purge rivals, branding all opponents as eunuch sympathizers to crush them. This turned the court into chaos and entrenched endless factional strife. Ming's dwindling strength was exhausted in relentless infighting, hastening its collapse.
Ming historian Miao Di details this in History of the Great Ming Kingdom, covered by Sally's Book Talk. Interested listeners can find the episode.
Here we focus on living shrines' role in factional wars. In one phrase, they became a despised political tool. When Wei Zhongxian held power, besides his loyal eunuch faction and the fiercely opposing Donglin Party, many officials were caught in between, not sycophants, yet, but they didn't dare offend him either. To survive, they just echoed the eunuch faction. When the eunuchs built living shrines for Wei Zhongxian, these officials pitched in too. After Emperor Chongzhen took the throne, this became ammunition for rivals to attack them, even inviting deadly consequences. Yuan Shanghan's case is classic. Defending Liadam against the later Jin under Wei's rule, he relied on imperial supplies and couldn't risk angering the 9,000 years. And many women came. Amid the shrine-building frenzy, Yuan followed suit by erecting one in Ming Yuan, a survival tactic that was understandable. Chongzhen initially showed understanding and didn't punish him. But when Chongzhen later accused Yuan of colluding with the later Jin and fabricated charges, building Wei's shrine became a key crime. As similar cases piled up and late Ming chaos worsened, enthusiasm for living shrines plummeted court and country. After the Ming Dynasty's rise, public demand for local official shrines partly returned, but never to Ming's ubiquitous scale. As a political-cultural phenomenon, living shrines faded to obscurity. Commoners' original hope to voice needs and check officials through them utterly failed. What's your take on this? Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments. All right, that concludes our interpretation of the small mandate of heaven, living shrines and Ming politics. Reading notes are below the audio. See you next time.